Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be kicking off my year-end series and talking about all things 2019 and looking back on the year. So I'll be talking about product favorites, regrets, all that type of stuff. Today I'm going to be focusing on brands that excited me in 2019 and brands that bored me. And when I say they excite me or they bore me, I'm mainly talking about this year. Some of the brands that I'm going to mention that bore me haven't bored me in the past, and there might be products that I still use from them on a regular basis that are older, but I'm mainly just focusing on what they launched this year and whether or not I'm still interested in them as a brand kind of at the moment. And then on the flip side of that, there are also some brands that I just can't wait to see what they come out with next. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely stick around. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so why don't we go ahead and start with the brands that I'm bored with, and then we'll end on a positive note. And we'll start out with drugstore brands first, or actually I should say affordable brands, because a few of the brands I'm talking about aren't actually found at the drugstore. They're more of online brands, but when I say drugstore, I usually just mean affordable brands. So the first one is NYX. NYX used to be my favorite drugstore brand of all time. I loved so many products that they came out with, and this year they just bored me so much. I just can't like look back and think of one thing that I was excited about. You know, they came out with, looking back, like the foundation palette that, you know, I definitely wouldn't use something like that. The disco collection just really didn't pique my interest all that much. There was those Mystic Petals palettes, which I actually did purchase, but was kind of disappointed in the quality of those. They also came out with like some of these really big, huge rainbow type palettes that look a little cheap to me, and NYX really is not cheap these days. I remember a couple years back now, everybody being up in arms because they were charging like $25 for small palettes, and you know, it kind of, they're straddling the line at that point between drugstore and high-end. And really thinking back, I think like those Perfect Filter palettes that they came out with, I want to say 2-3 years ago now, were probably the last thing that I was super into from NYX. Those were amazing, and I haven't seen them around lately, so I don't know if they're discontinued or if you can still get them on their website or something. Also this year they came out with like those lipsticks with the little powder puff on the end that, I don't know, they just seem like they would feel dry to me. They had the Bear With Me collection, which I was sort of interested in maybe picking up that tinted moisturizer from that line, but that was about it. I think there was like a jelly primer, there was another primer. I mean, it wasn't like a huge collection, it was just a couple of things, and I think it got pretty good reviews, but I don't know, it just wasn't like something that was grabbing me like I need to buy this type of thing. So I'm a little bit bored with NYX. Another brand, this actually hurts me to say this so much, but another brand that I was kind of bored with this year was Flower Beauty, and part of it I think is just because they didn't really launch much this year. I remember them coming out with the Pop Fanatic collection. I want to say it was in the spring. I did a video on it, and there were those like cream eyeshadows that were really bright, funky colors, and then they had vinyl like lip glosses, which I actually did like the lip glosses, but the eyeshadows were just kind of like not really my thing. And then, you know, past that, they really haven't come out with much, and they seem to be scaling back their line at stores like Ulta and Walmart. My Walmart still has Flower, but it's a very small display, and Ulta seems like they're not restocking anything these days. So it almost seems in a way like the stores are getting rid of Flower. I hope that's not the case, because I love their Petal Pout lipsticks. Those are some of my favorite lipsticks at the drugstore. I love the Flower Pots blushes. Those are another favorite. You're definitely gonna hear me talk about these in favorites videos coming up in the next few weeks, but you know, there's so many great products in the line. Their eyeshadow palettes are pretty good for the price point. They have the Light Illusion foundation and concealer, which didn't really get along with my skin, but a lot of people loved it, and I was definitely interested when they first launched it. I mean, they had just launched so many great products over the past couple of years, and then this year I just felt like was kind of lackluster for me. And then two more brands at the drugstore that I feel like have been really boring are L'Oreal and Maybelline. I can't think of one thing over the past year from either brand that I was super excited about. And it seems to me like they're almost not coming out with much these days as well. When other brands like ColourPop are launching something every week, I feel like when Maybelline or L'Oreal comes out with a collection, it's almost just like different colors of an existing product. Like the Super Stay lip inks, they came out with new colors for the fall or for the summer, or L'Oreal's Infallible lipsticks. They'll come out with, like, you know, how they had the chocolate collection and then they had the macarons. Once in a while they might release a new mascara, which, okay, like, I'm into mascara, so I'll buy those. I don't know, it's just like as a brand, I'm not necessarily drawn to them. I don't buy like eyeshadows from them. I rarely buy face products. Although I will say L'Oreal came out with the Fresh Wear foundation this year. I think it was this year. And that one was pretty interesting and I did like it. But yeah, other than one or two products here and there, those two brands are definitely boring me these days. So moving on to more exciting brands at the drugstore. One drugstore brand that I think is really bringing it lately is CoverGirl. Now I think L'Oreal and Maybelline should take a page out of CoverGirl's book. First of all, they revamped their packaging and kind of like gave the brand a whole refresh. They went cruelty-free in 2019, which was amazing and a huge step for such a big drugstore brand. I was so happy to see that. And then also back in the spring, they launched their matte foundation in a huge, really inclusive shade range. So they're really listening to what customers want. And they just are coming out with some interesting products. Around the same time, they came out with like those eyeshadow sticks and the liquid glitter eyeshadows that are sort of like a dupe for the Stila ones. They had those royalty palettes that came out, which weren't really my thing, but at least it was something different and they were trying new things, you know, and they just came out with recently the Fresh Wear line that I reviewed again last week with the Skin Milk and those cream blushes, which were really cool. So I feel like CoverGirl is at least like they have their finger on the pulse, they're listening to people, they're trying new things, which is more than I can say for the other large drugstore brands like L'Oreal and Maybelline and Revlon. I mean, I'm not saying that those brands don't have good products, but I just feel like compared to some of the other more affordable brands, they definitely need to start stepping it up a little bit. And then another brand, which I'm sure you knew I was going to say this, affordable brand that excited me this year was ColourPop. ColourPop, you know, they do come out with stuff too often. I feel like sometimes it can get overwhelming, but at the same time it's exciting for a couple of reasons. The first is that they're so affordable, but yet the quality is so good. It's super exciting to find makeup at an affordable price that performs like high end. The second thing is that, you know, even though they're coming out with things really frequently, if they launch a product one week and I'm not super interested in it, chances are next week there is going to be something I'm interested in. So there's just a huge variety. There's something for everybody. The products are beautiful. The color stories they come out with are super nice. They have the Disney collabs. I mean, they just keep things really fresh and interesting. Another brand very similar to that, I would say, is Makeup Revolution. They're another brand that I typically get really excited about when new things launch. They have some amazing palettes for the price. They do have some things that are hit and miss, but they're so affordable that if I pick up something and it doesn't really work out for me, it's not really a huge deal at the end of the day. But things like their Forever Flawless palettes, which are $15 and the quality is incredible, or the Reloaded palettes, I love the formula of those as well, and they're like $7. I like their mascara. I know not everybody does, but I love that one. They're always coming out with new complexion products, which is great. So they're always keeping things interesting. Again, they're a brand that really listens to what people want. They have their finger on the pulse of what's new and trendy and interesting. So they're another brand that is definitely exciting. Another one that I really love is Profusion. They don't have a huge range in the sense that they don't really have complexion products and stuff like that, but they do have some of the best eyeshadow palettes for such an affordable price. For 12 or 13 bucks, you can get these huge palettes with such a nice range of colors, and the formula is so good, way better than you would expect at that price point. They even have those smaller $5 palettes that are pretty incredible. So Profusion is a brand that I am always excited about when new products launch. They just recently launched a new mascara and a couple other things, so I feel like they're starting to expand the range from eyeshadow palettes just a little bit. But even if they just stuck with eyeshadow palettes, I would still be excited when they came out with new stuff. Another brand that really excited me in 2019 was Believe Beauty. They're that $5 and under brand at Dollar General. I was so impressed when they sent over their line. I want to say it was like in the winter last year, like around March, when they first launched, and they sent the whole collection. I did a video on it and I was just blown away by the quality. Their foundation is incredible for $5. Their eyeshadow palettes were so good. I mean, everything was good. Everything that I tried, I was really impressed. And it's not just good for the price, it's actually good. Like, it's good quality. So that was a brand that I am really excited about. I can't wait to see if they expand and come out with new things. They haven't launched anything since the initial launch, but they're definitely a brand that I have my eye on and would be super excited if they were to launch anything new. And then last but not least, there are two dupe brands that I am always excited when they launch something new, and that's Alter Ego and CColor Cosmetics. Now, both of these brands are strictly dupe brands for the most part. They dupe high-end palettes. Now, Alter Alter Ego is more of a new brand. They only have 5 palettes so far, but they're all really good and very similar to those old Bad Habit Beauty palettes that were at Shop Hush. And then CColor is a brand that I feel like isn't as well known, but their palettes are probably like half the price of most of the Alter Ego ones. They have a huge range because they've been doing this a while now, and their palettes, they might even be like a little better than the Alter Ego ones. I love Alter Ego, don't get me wrong, but the CColor ones are so super close to the originals. For example, CColor's new Sultry palette dupe, Feverish, which is like $7. I've been using that non-stop. Like, I reach for that palette so much, way more than the actual Sultry palette, which I do have, and way more than a lot of palettes in my collection, just because the formula is so good, and it's like $7, which is really just kind of insane for an eyeshadow palette of that quality especially. And they, like I said, they have a huge range. They have like Jeffree Star dupes, Natasha Denona, Huda Beauty. I mean, they have a bunch to choose from, so definitely recommend checking out both CColor and Alter Ego. If you're into dupes or you just don't have it in your budget for the originals now, I think they are great options as well, and I'm always excited to see what they come out with next. All right, and then when it comes to high-end makeup, I have to say I'm pretty bored with a lot of it these days, and that could be just because there are so many great affordable drugstore brands now out on the market that I kind of don't need to really spend the money sometimes. I put my money generally into high-end skincare versus high-end makeup, but I just want to quickly mention a few that I'm particularly bored with lately. So the first one is Tarte. Tarte used to be my #1 high-end brand. If you asked me a couple years ago what my favorite makeup brand of all time was, it would have been Tarte. The Tarte lip palettes, my favorite. I still love those to death. Their Rainforest of the Sea products, love them, especially the lipsticks are so good. The palettes that they had were amazing. Tarte's blushes are fantastic. I mean, they really have a great line of products. Their mascaras are good. But this year, I just grew so bored with them. And I just felt like everything they came out with, we've seen it before, we've done it before. It just wasn't anything that I felt like I was gonna spend that kind of money on, especially. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if they were at drugstore prices that I would have purchased them, just because it wasn't anything like new or different or something that I don't already have. So Tarte is definitely one of those brands that I haven't purchased from all year. Another one would be Benefit. I do like their brow products and their little box cheek colors I thought were really interesting, but I want to say the last thing I bought from Benefit was the California blush, and after that I really haven't been super interested in anything that they've launched. I mean, I guess if I were to repurchase their brow products or something on a regular basis, I would be buying from them, but I don't even use those anymore really because I've found good drugstore options. So yeah, Benefit is just one of those brands that I almost like forget about sometimes, and part of that I think is just because they're not an overly hyped brand. Like, they do have really good quality products, but they're just not in the forefront of people's minds, I think, because they're not like always on Trend Moods page. They're not always launching things constantly, so that could be why. But yeah, I mean, I haven't purchased anything from them in such a long time. And then the third brand that I'm kind of bored with now is IT Cosmetics. That's another brand that, you know, I just feel like they keep coming out with very similar things. And even like the kits that they have on QVC, I used to look forward to those so much, and the last few, it's just like the same old things over and over and over again. It's the CC cream and a brush and like maybe one of those lipsticks that, you know, you put on and it changes based on the pH of your skin. It's just kind of like not exciting to me anymore. I remember being really excited by them, especially when they came into Ulta and Sephora and I could buy them in store rather than just ordering on QVC. And I do still think that they have high quality products, but I just am not excited about them as much as a brand at the moment. And then there's a few brands that I'm not 100% bored of, but it's kind of going that direction a little bit. The first one is Too Faced. Too Faced, I really almost swore off at the beginning of this year because they just kept on coming out with unicorn stuff and mermaid and rainbows and just like all this stuff that seemed so like kind of childish, and it just wasn't my thing anymore. I almost felt like I was outgrowing this brand a little bit. But then in the fall time, I was really excited by the new Gingerbread Extra Spicy palette. The Hot Buttered Rum palette was so cute. They had some really beautiful Christmas sets that were more interesting than some of the other brands. So I felt like they kind of redeemed themselves towards the end of the year with me. But you know, they're one of those brands that I'm kind of like on the fence about now. And then another brand that I'm a little bit on the fence with is Urban Decay, and they don't excite me as much as they used to back in the day. And maybe that's part part of it because I used to almost just be like on the edge of my seat, like waiting to see what they were going to come out with next. Like when they first came out with the first 3 Naked palettes, and they were just really like had a moment for a while there, and I just couldn't wait to see what was coming. And now I'm just kind of like, you know, but I have to say the Honey palette is one of my favorite palettes that launched this year, so I was very, very excited with that one. So I don't know, they're one of those brands that I'm a little bit bored with them, but every once in a while they surprise me and come out with something great. So then when it comes to brands that I am super excited about that are on the high end, the first one is Nabla Cosmetics, and I've always loved Nabla, but they were a little bit out of reach for me, and I didn't end up trying a lot of their products because I had to order from Italy, which was a pain in the neck. But now that they're at Ulta and we have access to a lot of their stuff, I hope they honestly bring the entire line to Ulta. That would be fantastic, but their products are just so good. I've been a fan of theirs for many years, but now I'm even more excited about them as a brand because they're so accessible, and you know, we can get their products right away at Ulta and use points for them and stuff. So I just think as a brand, Nabla is amazing. Another one is Zoeva. Zoeva, I love their brushes, their palettes are awesome. They're another brand that came from Europe to Ulta, so again, very easy to get, and I really hope that they continue to add products to the collection at Ulta as well, because I think the quality is there, and especially when it comes to the palettes. I know I mentioned this in my Zoeva palette video, or even the video that I did on their Melody palette. When you look at their palettes, they sometimes don't look especially exciting, but once you start using them and playing with them, some of the colors look one way in the palette, and then when you put them on the eyes, they look totally different than you expected, and really just unique and fantastic. And that's one reason why I love them as a brand, because I just think the color stories in some of these palettes are just more unique and beautiful than a lot of the ones that we're seeing over and over again. So Zoeva is another brand that I am very excited about whenever they launch something new. Another one is Huda Beauty. Huda, I feel like, is such a trendsetter, and that's just so apparent by how many brands copy her. I mean, how many different variations of the Nude palette are out there, or Desert Dusk, or Rose Gold. I'm sure we're about to see a ton of Mercury Retrograde dupes. Actually, I showed on my Instagram page the other day, the brand Beauty Glazed has already duped the Mercury Retrograde palette. So, you know, it's for good reason though, because her color stories are just really interesting, and she comes out with these cool new textures for eyeshadow. And I also think her lip products are amazing. Those dual-ended liquid eyeshadows are really, really good. Her highlighter palettes are beautiful. Oh, and the new little mini Obsessions palettes, those nude ones, oh my gosh, those were one of the best launches of the year. I felt like they were so good. So yeah, Huda is just one of those brands that I definitely get excited to see what she's going to come out with next. Another one that I just got into this year, I know it's been around a long time, but is Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury is a brand that I really didn't pay too much attention to before because it was mostly at department stores and I don't normally shop at those that often. But once they came to Sephora, and actually to my Sephora store specifically, I was able to go in and try some of the products that I keep hearing about and really fell in love with a bunch of them. And I just really love the whole aesthetic of the brand too, because it kind of speaks to me in the way that everything is very kind of more on the neutral side and easy to wear, like if you don't like bright, bold colors. And a lot of her products are kind of like focused on anti-aging ingredients, which now that, you know, I'm over 40, it's something that I definitely look for. So I just feel like the aesthetic of that brand is speaking to me more and more these days. Another brand I really got into this year is Nude Sticks, and part of that I think is again due to my age, because I've really been favoring cream products lately and products that, you know, sit really nicely on the skin but are also long lasting and don't accentuate texture and all that. And I fell in love with Nude Sticks. Their cheek sticks are amazing. They come in the most beautiful, flattering shades. They last a really long time on the skin. They're portable, which I love. Also, their eyeshadow sticks are fantastic. I got the Rose Gold kit that they have at Sephora and was able to try out a whole bunch of different ones, and they're just such a quick and easy way to do your eye makeup if you're running short on time. They're also, again, really portable and travel friendly, so I've just gotten into them a lot as a brand. Another brand I'm really excited about this year is Doll 10. I've really discovered so many of their products, and I feel like they're a little bit more of like an under the radar brand. They're mainly at QVC and HSN. They do have a website, but you can't find them in stores like Ulta and Sephora, so I feel like a lot of people don't really know about them. But they have so many fantastic products, their cream blushes. Again, I've been raving about those lately. Their lipsticks are some of my favorite lipstick formulas of all time. You're also going to hear about these in favorites videos coming up in the next few weeks. And this year they came out with the Anti-Stress Skin Perfector, which has become one of my favorite foundations. The Hydroluxe Concealer I'm in love with as well. They have awesome mascara formulas. And just like Charlotte Tilbury and Nude Sticks, the aesthetic of the brand just really appeals to me these days because they have just really neutral, easy to wear colors. There's nothing loud or crazy or anything like that. And they also have a focus on anti-aging in their products, which I love. So definitely check out Doll 10 if you haven't already. And then the last brand that I was excited about this year is Anastasia. Now, I wasn't too crazy about how frequently they were releasing palettes this fall, especially because, you know, it's one thing if you're ColourPop or Makeup Revolution and your products are really affordable, that, you know, people can afford to maybe pick up a few things here and there, but like when it comes to spending $45 on a palette, it's a lot more of like something that you want to think about and really carefully consider before you drop that kind of money. And to just come out with palettes back to back to back like that, I was a little bit like annoyed by that. But aside from that, just focusing on the products themselves, I really do still get excited about their new products, especially the eyeshadow palettes. I think that's probably my favorite thing, but I'm also still usually excited to see what else they come out with in terms of, you know, complexion products or lip products or whatever. So yeah, it may not always be the case, but right now I still really love them as a brand. All right guys, so I think that's about it. I probably forgot to mention something, but those are the brands that just really stuck out to me as being a little bit boring this year or really exciting. So I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What brands are you really excited about in 2019 and what brands bored you to tears? I would love to hear your thoughts and just chat with you guys in the comments about it. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And also please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well, especially if you like videos like this that are more of like a year-end roundup and favorites, because those are all coming in the next few weeks and you don't want to miss it. So anyway, I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.